Hello, hello, hello! I am Gepwin here with all your Mac gaming news, reviews, and gameplay, and today I'm taking a look at Legends of Grimrock, or Legend of Grimrock, I can't remember which. Well, this is a very, very interesting game. I think it's amazing. I'm loving every minute I spent with it. It's kinda weird mix between really old school dungeon crawling games like the old original Dungeons and Dragons games that you used to get on the computer, and this first person kind of puzzle solving. It's really great. So, to start out with, you are given 4 adventures. I just went with random for this review because I didn't feel like making more adventures. I do have a thing where I made my own. You can pick their traits, pick their stuff, do your standard, create a character stuff with them. But you're given 4 of them, and you put them in this kind of grid box. They're prisoners in the game. They're all tied together so they can't move far away from each other. So they're in this small grid, and you get to organize who's in front, who's in back. That's how you get to decide who's taking damage, who's taking the brunt of the damage, who uses what. People in back can't use close combat weapons, like she couldn't use a sword or dagger, but she would be able to use a spear or a thrown weapon. This guy's a mage, which means that he can use his mage powers. Fire burst. Now I knew that one because I played before, and apparently the spells don't change. I just went to try that. So if you want, that's your fire burst spell. Spells are interesting because you have this button panel when you click into the spell menu, and you choose different you choose the different icons to figure out which one is which. Not enough skilled to cast. So you actually have to put in the runes for your spell as you're trying to use it, which in combat gets a little hairy. So I think that's pretty interesting. I like the spell system in this game, I really do. And you have these little puzzles, like put the rock on the platform, not that bad, but the puzzles do get more interesting as you go on. Another great thing is the light. You actually have to bring torches with you. And now I've gotten the key. You actually have to bring torches with you along the way. The torches are going to run out. I've never gotten to a place where there aren't enough torches in the wall to refill, but I'm sure that there are sections that can get too dark to explore, especially if you don't have torches with you. It's just this great, extra little management aspect to the game that I'm really enjoying. Let's give you a rock. You can throw rocks at people. So you're on this grid. You're on a pretty well-defined grid here. Every time you move, it moves 1 square, and you can rotate within your square, or you can strafe. And I'll see if we can find some combat soon. Loose rock. I've played through this section before. The dungeon doesn't change as you go through, which is unfortunate. But there are some user-created dungeons. So if the dungeon gets boring, you can go through the user-created stuff and not have... oh, I didn't equip those clothes that I found before, did I? You can go through the user-created stuff and not have as much of a problem. But I actually kind of like that the dungeons don't change, because this game is pretty difficult as it is. And it's kind of like the old school, Baldur's Gate and things, when you were having a lot of trouble with the dungeons, so you would, start over, and then you'd know where some of the traps were and things, and you'd get a little farther and die, so you'd know where they were that time. It's kind of a learn as you play kind of thing. Now, I'm stuck in a corner, which is not a position I like to be in here, and I'm fighting this giant snail. Combat does get a little weird, because it's 1 mouse button for hit things, but it's 1 mouse button for pick stuff up, so sometimes in the heat of combat you'll hit the wrong button, you'll wind up doing something like this, like attack, attack, oops, I grabbed that, well attack anyway, oh, I hit with the hand, I have to put it back and give him his thing, and now I've wasted his attack, so, just a little bit of a gripe. Nothing too bad. This is so far my only gripe with the game is the controls, and part of that is me having trouble with them. So the controls are pretty good, but I have a little trouble getting used to them. When I get into the heat of combat, I will strafe instead of turn, I'll turn instead of strafe, I'll accidentally pick up a weapon I was trying to hit something with. So I do find the controls very slightly clunky, but not enough to dislike the game, really. I know that the controls are my fault. It's something that I just need to get used to a little more. It's not really a flaw in the game, it's a flaw with me. It's not you, it's me, game. Oops. And the combat does get more difficult. These are the early enemies, they're pretty easy to defeat. But it can take a little bit. It can get a little grindy in some of these. Your only option is basically trying to strafe away. That doesn't always work. Oop. More slugs. And the combat can get fairly kind of strategic. You don't want to get backed into a corner, but running is kind of a problem. If you get strafed, you're pretty much dead, because your armored people are going to be in the front. You're getting attacked from the side with people who can't attack back. It's a big problem. Oop. There we go. Got that guy. And these things I've been picking up are food. So yeah, not only do you have to worry about taking damage and being hurt, but your party can starve to death as well. Which I think is fun. Not when they starve to death, but I think it's a fun little thing to have to worry about. As you saw before, there's numerous secrets hidden around. I found that one with the little loose rock button that gave me the clue for. But there's all kinds of little secrets and puzzles and things hidden throughout the dungeon that you have to find yourself. A lot of the times it doesn't give you any clue or much of a clue. You just have to be observant and find the things. So even though I've played through this part of the dungeon before, I am still keeping an eye out for things that I missed. Oops, clicked that too many times. Still keeping an eye out for things that I missed, little puzzles to solve. Like that was pretty easy. Grab the key and then we need to find the door. Now, I'm playing on a more normal mode, but there is a classic mode, I believe that's what they call it, where the auto map does not engage. In this map in this mode, I have this auto map that shows me where I've been, but there is actually a mode where you can, there were doors over here? I think there were just more of these little rooms. There is a mode in which you do not get this, and it recommends that you use a piece of graph paper. Which, you know, I would, but I don't. I use my graph paper for other stuff, mostly planning out Minecraft and StarMade builds. But there we go. But it's a nice option for anybody who misses that old RPG style where you had to map it out yourself, got confused, could get lost just as easily as anything else. Really, this whole game is a nice throwback to old school RPGs. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the style. And there's not a ton of combat. A lot of it is exploration and problem solving. And when you do get into combat, you're kind of in trouble, actually. You're never really safe. Oops. See? Fungus man. You're never that safe. You shouldn't... Uh-oh. I backed myself into a corner. You'd never feel safe in this game. Like, you can be very well prepared and you can run into a room with 2 fungus monsters and all of a sudden you're being flanked. Which is not somewhere you want to be. Flanked by fungus monsters. Now see, the dodging... Like, there's not really much of a... There's kind of a use for dodging around. You can stun your enemies and move backward. You don't get as much variety in the combat. It's pretty much just hit those 3 buttons until the person dies. And you can kind of dodge around and avoid some attacks and things, but for the most part you just want to not get flanked. Which is nice for a game like this. You don't often see the don't get flanked combat strategy come into things. So it's really not, oops. It's not a bad way to do combat. It's just not as interesting as it could be. which isn't that much of a gripe. I'm really loving the game. I don't really have any big gripes with the game. I think that it's definitely worth your time and your money. Whee. I picked this up in the Humble store. I'll put links to it in the description. It's available on Humble and on Steam. So I think it's definitely worth a look. As I said, available on Humble and on Steam and some other platforms as well. I'll put in the links to my main two. It is $14.99. Definitely worth it at that price, I feel. And keep an eye out on the Humble store and the sales, because games like this tend to go on sale often. Come on. I'll kill this fungus monster and then we can call it a review. Come on. I've only gotten to the second level so far before I've died horribly. There's a fairly forgiving save system and things, but dang it. Some of the enemies are just very hairy. You get flanked easily. And as I said, I was having some trouble with the controls. There's a thing in there I need to get to. I don't see a button in here. Anyway, this is Legend of Grimrock. Very compelling dungeon crawler. I'm really having fun with it. I definitely am going to keep playing this for ages and ages until I beat the frickin' thing. So, I hope you found this helpful. I'm Gepwin. I bring you your Mac gaming news, reviews, and gameplay every day except Saturday. Man's got to have a day off. But every day but Saturday I'm on here bringing you Mac game news, reviews, and gameplay. I have a blog that I don't update as often as I should, but I'm going to be writing more on there for anything that I don't think is good enough to make a full video on. Also, I'm on the Mac Reddit all the time, so you can contact me on there if you're interested. You can take a look at my blog, articles, Twitter, etc. If you can't talk to me on YouTube because of the comments and things, I'm always on Twitter. So please like, subscribe, share the videos around if you're interested. I hope you enjoy. I hope you find these helpful. Haha, die snail. And on that, I will say I am Gepwin, and I will see you soon.